Candyman. What is going on, Silver Squad, and welcome back to the Silver Side. My name is RJ, and today I'm going to be reviewing Candyman, which is now in theaters. It stars Yahya Abdul-Mateen III, Tiana Parrish, Coleman Domingo, and Tony Todd is in this movie as well. So can't wait till you guys see that. I want to know what you guys thought about that little cameo down below in the comment section below. But before we get started, I want to thank everybody for tuning in, stopping by. Don't forget to hit that like button while you're here or on your way out, whether you choose to stay or not. That's up to you, no pressure. But if you do decide to skip or stick around, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell. That way you can stay up to date on all of our latest content here at the Silver Site. Without further ado, let's dive into my review. There are a couple of things that I liked about Candyman, and there are a couple of things that I didn't. Overall, I did enjoy this movie. It was something that I myself have been waiting for a while. I know me and a lot of my friends that, love horror and love, especially black films. We were hyped about this film. We were ready for it. But for me, I'm not going to act like this was like an A+ film. This was definitely something that isn't up to, it didn't meet the expectations that I had set for it, but I'm not disappointed in what I did see. I enjoyed it overall, but I do want to talk about some of the good things I enjoyed first. First thing I enjoyed about this film was the kind of backdrop theme of gentrification and how it affects communities, how white people will create the ghettos and tear them down, only to rebuild them back up for white people to come and take them over. And although it was kind of like on the nose, it kind of needed to be said, because there's some people who just don't believe that gentrification can happen to your neighborhood until it happens to your neighborhood, and then when it's happening, it's too late to reverse it. So it just teaches you how they will suffocate these communities and cut their resources off until there is nothing left for them to do but to move. And then once all the black people are gone, or the people that they want to go are gone, they will rebuild these communities up, hike the price up, and then move white people in and give you a Whole Foods. But like I said, that's kind of low-key been the theme of Candyman for a while, or it's centered around that theme for a while. But that's something I like, that they kind of really hit home with this on the second part of gentrification. Another thing that I enjoyed about this film was the utilization of the mirrors and the kills. Yo, that had to be the bombest thing about this movie. The dopest thing about this movie was how to utilize angles and reflections and things like that to kind of scare you instead of your usual horror jump scares and loud sounds and things like that. There was a certain eeriness that Candyman had when he was stalking his victims before he killed them. It's just something that I found to be really unique and really, really well done and well shot. And that was something that definitely I noticed, and I have to give kudos to the cinematographer on that, and whoever laid out those shots. Amazing work. That definitely was probably one of my favorite parts of this movie. Another thing I enjoyed about this movie was the storytelling. I love how they weave the history of Black America into the fabric of the legend of Candyman. I love how it felt like a shift in the narrative from revenge to justice, which, like I said earlier, which has kind of always been the theme of, not always, but it's partly the theme of Candyman, is, revenge, but also now we've seen them incorporate, kind of like street justice or ghost justice for that matter. And it was definitely enjoyable to kind of see that unfold. I don't know, but it really drove that home with the puppetry. Speaking of puppetry, that's another thing that I enjoyed about Candyman. That's something that got me so hyped. It was such a beautifully haunting way they told the story that just was captivating. There was a whole end credit scene, not end credit scene, there was a whole end credits where they kind of did some puppetry, and I remember just everybody in the theater, getting up to leave, but then a couple of people just stopped and stared at the thing because it was so captivating the way they were telling the stories through the puppetry. It was probably my favorite part of the entire movie. That was a very, very different way to tell a story, to illustrate flashbacks and to kind of illustrate flash forwards or whatever you want to call it. Definitely something that I haven't seen utilized a lot, but it's something that was definitely utilized well. But that's all I have for things that I liked about Candyman. Unfortunately, there were some things that I did not care about, and I'll just jump into that now. for me, I felt like we were missing a lot of information. Not a lot of information, but just enough for me to question it. I felt like there were scenes in the movie that they expected the audience to kind of put together in their heads. And granted, your audience, should know your the plot. They should know the world and things like that. But when you're telling a story and we're expecting it to unfold in front of us, and you don't kind of fill in those gaps and you leave it to the audience to guess, it really makes the story flat. And I kind of feel like that's where my problem with this movie comes in at, as there were several instances where there should have been more story added to it and it wasn't. There was another scene that was in this movie that came towards the end that was completely unnecessary. They kind of hinted on something happening or something being important in the beginning, and then at the end they had this scene with this one character, that just wasn't needed. You could have taken those same 15, 20 minutes that you had for that scene, and you could have given us a little bit more backstory, or you could have filled in some of the gaps or some of the blanks between two characters and one character's history and why we are where we're at, and that would have made the ending a little bit better, would have made the reveal a little bit better. Speaking of the reveal, that was one thing that kind of, rubbed me the wrong way in this movie. I didn't understand why this person was revealed to be doing what they were doing. I didn't understand, and I think that comes from the missing information that we never got, or that they kind of glanced over, or they kind of just expected us to just kind of like suspend our disbelief and just accept it as what it was. I feel like that was one of the things that kind of made me like, what? And then from there on, it just kind of snowballed, because before you know it, which was another part, thing I had a problem with, was we got to the climax of the movie out of nowhere. We got to the end of the movie out of nowhere. Here you have one character who is seeking information to figure out what exactly is going on in this film. And then as soon as they go to seek the information, something happens, and then boom, we blink, and now we're at the end of the movie. And not only are we at the end of the movie, we're at the end of the movie, because the final, scenes in the movie happen so fast. It's like you don't have time to kind of adjust your viewing, because you're thrown into it. You have this story that's being told from the beginning of the film, and they're gradually building up to a climax. But instead of like it going like this, it just literally goes like this. And it's one of those things where it just completely, that doesn't take you out of the movie. But for me, I was kind of irritated to a certain point, because I felt like they weren't given any time to kind of, get the audience to digest what just happened. You were kind of just thrown into it, and the movie, unfolded, and the movie wrapped up. And then at the end, you sit there and you're left to process what happened, rather than the movie unfolding in a way that and at a pace that is appropriate for you to kind of digest what's happening. But that's just something that I didn't really, care for. It's sort of like when you're watching a Blu-ray on your PlayStation, and you kind of, look down at your phone, but you lean on the control by accident, and it skips a chapter, and you're like, wait a minute, did I miss something? Yeah, you did, because you skipped the whole chapter. And that's what the last act of this film feels like. The last half of the last act of this film feels like. It's like they just completely skipped over or glossed over important, vital information that would have definitely helped me digest, and as a viewer, as the audience, it would have helped me understand what was going on in the movie a little better. But those are all the kind of like things I had a problem with this movie. Overall, I did enjoy this movie. This is definitely something that I don't feel like I wasted my time watching, but this is definitely something that I feel like you don't need to actually rush to go see. If you want to go see it and you feel safe going to theaters, see it. If you want to wait for it to come on demand and you want to order it on demand, or even Blu-ray, go ahead and do that too. It's definitely not a waste of time. It's definitely not a waste of money. However, there are issues with this movie, but I definitely, overall, how many times are you going to say definitely? Overall, I had a great time watching this movie. Was it worth the wait? Yeah, but it wasn't a waste of time exactly. Definitely, once again, I'll have to do a definitely counter. But it is, I was about to say it again. It is something that is worthwhile. That is worth your while watching. You won't be disappointed. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know what you thought about Candyman down below in the comment section. Was there anything that you liked about the movie, liked or disliked about the movie? I gotta get it together. I'm not about to do this whole what is going on? Alright, so those are my thoughts on Candyman, which is now streaming in theaters. Let me know what you thought about the movie down below in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell on your way out the door. Thanks for tuning in, guys. With that being said, later days.